Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. So today we're going to explore some of the fascinating traditions associated with Thanksgiving, and we're going to see how those have changed over time. And of course, we'll touch on those deeper themes of gratitude and reflection that are really at the heart of the holiday.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about how Thanksgiving is celebrated, not just in the U.S., but in other parts of the world.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
even within families, there are so many variations on those traditions.
exactly. Thanksgiving isn't really like a fixed event. It's way more dynamic than I think a lot of people might assume. Even like the date we celebrate it here in the U.S., that's kind of like a historical accident, right? I mean, they chose that date in the 19th century, but it was more for political reasons than anything else.
Right. And, I was thinking about this. I know Canada celebrates Thanksgiving in
Yeah.
October. Can you talk about the history there?
Sure. Thanksgiving in Canada is more closely tied to those European harvest festivals. You think back to the early explorers and settlers, their celebrations were really connected to that agricultural calendar. So it was all about, marking the successful harvest. And even today, Thanksgiving in Canada kind of reflects that earlier connection to the land and to the cycle of the seasons.
So it's less about a specific historical event. It's more about that broader idea of being grateful for the harvest.
Exactly. And even in the U.S., Thanksgiving has evolved over the years. For many Native American communities, it's actually a day of mourning and remembrance, which kind of represents a completely different view of those events that we usually associate with the holiday.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, right, that there are a lot of different perspectives and narratives when it comes to Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding those different perspectives is really important. But no matter how you celebrate it, there is one thing that ties all of those variations together.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude, right. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. So it's interesting to think about this. Gratitude isn't just some kind of like feel-good emotion. There's actually been a lot of scientific research lately that's showing that gratitude can actually have a really profound impact on our overall well-being. There are studies that show that if you practice gratitude, it can actually rewire our brains to make us like more optimistic and more resilient to stress.
So it's not just about feeling thankful. It's about really making that effort to cultivate gratitude.
Exactly. It's like building a muscle or something. The more that you focus on what you are grateful for, the stronger those neural pathways become, and that leads to a more positive outlook on life.
That's really interesting. It seems like Thanksgiving is the perfect time to think about how we can practice gratitude and how we can even incorporate that into our lives year-round, beyond just the actual holiday.
Beyond just the holiday. And, one of the best ways to express gratitude is through like acts of service and being generous towards others.
That's such a great point. And it kind of brings us to this idea of community. I mean, Thanksgiving just isn't Thanksgiving without, the food. But it's not just about the meal. It's really about the experience of sharing a meal with the people that you care about.
Yeah. Thanksgiving, the meal with all of the traditions and family recipes, it kind of becomes a symbol of connection, right?
Yeah.
It's about sharing, creating memories, and just strengthening those bonds within families and communities.
Absolutely. And, sometimes when people are surrounded by abundance like that, it makes them think about the people who might not be so fortunate.
Yeah.
Whether it's volunteering at a food bank or donating to a charity or even just checking in on an elderly neighbor, Thanksgiving could be a time for giving back.
Exactly. It reminds us that gratitude isn't just about acknowledging what you have. It's about using what you have to make a positive impact on the world.
Yeah, well said. And speaking of being grateful, we wanted to take a minute to acknowledge a little milestone of our own. Believe it or not, this is our 115th episode of The Deep Dive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who's been listening. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, we are so grateful for your curiosity and for being willing to dive deep into these interesting topics with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on Thanksgiving, we want to leave you with a thought to ponder. As you gather with your loved ones this year, how can you kind of weave gratitude and reflection into your celebration, beyond just the traditional feast?
Yeah.
How can we make these practices a part of our everyday lives, not just during the holidays, but all throughout the year? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Let us know.
Until next time, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.